Now let me read the NPR. NPR said, it sounds like Chappelle is using white privilege to excuse his homophobia and transphobia. Wait, now Dave Chappelle can have white privilege? I'm really confused now. I thought I would get you on, even though that's going to be the subject of my editorial next week, because it's, I think, a much bigger subject than just this, but this gets at it. Words have meaning, but not anymore. That's what bothers me to begin with. That there is just, this is what I call the one true opinion. Very apropos of your religion theme, John. Mm-hmm. There is the one true opinion, and there isn't. There isn't just one true opinion. I'm a free speech guy. Now, I'm Team Dave, but that doesn't mean I'm anti-trans. We can have two thoughts in our head at the same time. Am I right about that? I hope.
The woke left completely lost it over a Dave Chappelle show, trying to cancel him over a few jokes he dared to tell. But if you know Chappelle, you know one thing. He never pulls his punches, especially when it comes to mocking woke culture. Predictably, the outrage mob erupted, dragging him across Twitter. But then something interesting happened. Maher stepped in. Maher came out swinging in Chappelle's defense, calling out the far left for its extreme sensitivity.
Have meaning, but not anymore. And when I hear transphobic, phobic has a meaning. Fear. I'm not transphobic if I merely disagree with you. It's not hate. I mean, here's what one of the reactions from someone who worked at Netflix said, this is not an argument with two sides. Well, right away you lost me.
The trans community reacted strongly to several jokes Dave Chappelle made, with the woke crowd quickly branding him as transphobic. But Maher stepped in and did something few were willing to do. He broke down what the word actually means, exposing how loosely and inaccurately it's often used today. Chappelle has consistently said he holds respect and genuine affection for trans people. Disagreeing with certain ideas or claims, however, is not the same as harboring hatred. That distinction is crucial in today's climate, where even mild disagreement is frequently treated as a personal attack. Maher stressed that satire and comedy exist to challenge ideas, spark discussion, and sometimes push boundaries, not to promote hostility. When society starts confusing disagreement with hate, meaningful dialogue shuts down and...
Right, if you're trans. You're completely equal, you're just not automatically right, and it doesn't behoove everybody to get their mind around very new changes. I mean, we were boy and girl for a very long time. It's only been 10 years since, how long have we had gay marriage? You know, I mean, talking about the Democratic voter, I'm sure there's a guy in Ohio going, I just got on board with gay marriage. Could you give me a minute? This idea that we're not any gender, that's a very new idea.
This isn't an entirely new conversation. It's one many people simply haven't had time to fully process. For most of human history, biological sex has been understood as a basic reality. At the same time, gender dysphoria is real and deserves empathy, compassion, and careful consideration. Those who experience it face genuine challenges and should be treated with dignity and respect. However, expecting everyone to instantly accept entirely new definitions of gender, without discussion or debate, is where tensions arise. This shift doesn't just affect language. It has real implications for laws, sports, education, and everyday public life. Inclusivity and respect are important, but they shouldn't come at the cost of silencing honest conversation. Understanding the difference.
I'm not sure I'm down with all of it, and I don't have to be.
But Dave wasn't battling power differentials. He wasn't immediately on board, and that person from Ohio needs to do some learning and some adjustment.
Yes.
But that means that you are a heretic and you have to be pushed out a window because you are not battling the power differentials. And what you see is that there's one thing this is. These people who do this about race, who do this about trans, who do this about anything, think of themselves as ahead of the curve. They think of themselves as indicating some sort of higher wisdom. Really, it's a very simple way of looking at things. People like this, no matter what they're arguing on the basis of, are telling us the way you would have thought of it when you were 5 years old is the proper way to think of it. That doesn't work. Never will.
This is often where academics enter the discussion with dense terminology and jargon that can muddy the conversation rather than clarify it. But one point John McWhorter makes is especially worth highlighting. We shouldn't think about gender the way we did when we were 5 years old. Childhood ideas, pink for girls, blue for boys, are simplistic and don't reflect the biological and scientific realities that have existed throughout human history. From the earliest civilizations to modern science, biological sex has been clear and consistent, and biology has repeatedly confirmed this. McWhorter argues that while society can evolve in how it talks about gender identity, it cannot erase or rewrite the fundamental biological truths that underlie it. Recognizing this distinction is essential. We can show empathy and respect for individual experiences without...
Being a comedian seems like a really, really tough job. I think we can agree that comedians' primary role is to entertain, and it's sometimes to make us think. But no one thinks it's a comedian's role to tell us how to think or what to think. And attributing that role to Dave or any other comedian doesn't serve art, the artist, or society at all.
Well, I mean, I was going to read some of these reviews. I'm just going to read this one from NPR. It's because the reviews from the critics so at variance with the audience. Rotten Tomatoes, that's a amalgam of reviews. I think in this case 7. His special got a 43%. Audience 95.
You've been a comedian, and it's clear that comedy is an incredibly tough profession. At its core, a comedian's primary role is to entertain, and sometimes to make us think. But it has never been a comedian's job to tell people how to think or what to believe. Assigning that responsibility to Dave, or to any comedian, doesn't serve the art, the artist, or society. Comedy thrives on freedom, interpretation, and challenge, not on being treated as a moral...
Or Latinx. I don't have any problem with Latinx, but it doesn't seem to be making any inroads into the communities where most Latinx people live. And so you have this sort of educated dialect way of thinking.
Personally, I don't put much weight on what review sites say about Dave Chappelle's performances. The opinions that matter most are those of the real people in the room, the audience sitting in their seats, laughing, reacting, and fully engaged. If the crowd responds positively, that's all the validation needed, because their reaction reflects genuine enjoyment, not an agenda. Review sites rarely operate in a vacuum. They often reflect the preferences or biases of the people who run them. When a platform's leadership dislikes Chappelle's style or disagrees with his approach, it's not surprising to see reviews skew negative regardless of the actual performance. That's why I always trust the audience over the critics. In the end, comedy is about connection, and if the audience...
me to begin with, that there is this is what I call the one true opinion. Very apropos of your religion theme, John. There is the one true opinion, and there isn't. There isn't just one true opinion. I'm a free speech guy. Now, I'm Team Dave, but that doesn't mean I'm anti-trans. We can have two thoughts in our head at the same time. Am I right about that? I hope.
Yes.
Some of the loudest outrage often comes from people who aren't directly affected by the issue at hand. They insert themselves into debates over matters that don't impact them personally, driven more by moral posturing than genuine concern. That doesn't mean people shouldn't care about issues beyond their own lives, but if they're going to lead the charge, they should at least get the facts right. Too often, emotion replaces analysis, and slogans take the place of real solutions.